Recording in progress. Okay. Someone cannot hear me?
Yeah, I saw the message.
Okay, so as far as you can hear, it means the person should check his end. It's probably something for us. All right, so this is AWS. AWS is it means Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services is the name that Amazon calls its AWS services. All right, so let me just put some diagram in place so that and to do just minimize this and then get to okay, got it. All right. So broadly, can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody can hear me. All right, so you already know what cloud is. So cloud is this concept of taking physical machines away from the real world and representing them virtually so that you don't need to have machine. By machine, I mean servers, computers, routers, switches, and all of the infrastructure that make up your IT. You don't need to have them in physical form anymore. They are now available in virtual state where you can connect to them and use them like you were using them in physical form in your office. So that concept of not dealing with hardware, but dealing with them in virtual format is what we call cloud. Cloud could be private. In other words, a company can set up its own cloud infrastructure and use it for itself. So you could have private cloud, and then of course the one that is more important, which we are dealing with, is public cloud, which means you may want to mute yourself because I'm echoing. So if you are not talking, you may just mute yourself. All right. So the public cloud is something that is the one that we are really interested in. So private cloud will belong to big companies like IBM, like Apple, IBM, Apple. All the big companies, they have their own cloud facilities and cloud services, but private to them, just to ensure high level of security amongst other factors. But for the public ones, there are three popular cloud providers for the public. These are Microsoft, then we have Google, and then we have Amazon. So these are the three popular public cloud providers. The cloud service provided by Microsoft, they call it Microsoft Azure. The one provided by Google, Google calls it Google Cloud. And the cloud services provided by Amazon, Amazon calls it Amazon Web Services. All right? In talking about cloud and learning cloud, we don't necessarily have to learn each of these one by one, at least not at this level. So what we want to do is take one, focus on it, and know it in details, know it enough to be able to claim that, yes, we know cloud. And the one that we have chosen for this purpose is the Amazon Web Services, otherwise called AWS. And the reason we are choosing this, the reason we are choosing to learn this, we are choosing this over the other two is because this is what most companies using cloud, most of the employers that you'll be going to for job after this training, this is what most of them use. All right. So out of everybody using cloud, and of course there are other cloud providers, right? Like Oracle, and so on and so forth. There are so many Alibaba, and so on and so forth. Over 100 of them. There are so many. So out of all of these cloud providers, this company is taking care of up to 40% of the total. Whereas this one might be taking care of up to 20% of the total, and this one may be up to 15% of the total cloud market. We call it market share. All right. So because most of the cloud service users are using this service, that is why we are choosing to use this one, because 40% of the people, of the prospective employers out there will be doing this. So you have better chances, broader chances, wider chances of getting job with this one. Maybe after this, you can learn one or two on top of that, fine. But this is always the primary one to learn because they have the biggest market share. All right, so for that reason, we are going to focus on AWS. So even though we say we are learning cloud, we are specifically or very often going to be mentioning AWS. So every time we talk about AWS, we actually mean cloud because this is the major cloud platform. All right. All right, too early to ask questions. So let's go on. Now that we know that the most popular public cloud provider is AWS and that we're going to learn cloud using AWS, what do we expect to learn? And what are we expected to know as a cloud engineer generally? When we say cloud engineer, that's just the general name. So as a cloud engineer, we simply mean anybody that goes into cloud and is able to run tools, applications, services to come up with, to build something basically. So once you're able to go into cloud and you are able to use the services available in cloud to build something, we call you a cloud engineer. As a cloud engineer, you could be a solution cloud, everything will start with cloud. Cloud solution architect. You could be a cloud solution developer. You could be a cloud solution database person. You could be a cloud solution security person. You could be a cloud solution networking person. You could be a cloud solution. There are so many areas. All of these people, as long as they go into cloud to build something, then we'll call something that is, of course, solving a problem. That's why we call them solution. So there's a problem. Maybe, for example, you have a problem of how do we make all the citizens of the world pay a tax of 1% from all of their income? That's a problem that you want to solve. So you may want to go into cloud and build a solution that would solve that problem. So that is why we call them solution. Another name for solution is application. So basically, you build an application as a solution to that problem. So irrespective of this, which of these areas you specialize in, or you become a subject matter expert on, you are a cloud engineer. In our own case, we'll specifically be talking about cloud solutions architecting. What does that mean? Cloud solutions architecting means that as a cloud solutions architect, you are the person who will go into cloud and set up and build the infrastructure in cloud that this solution, this application will run on. So the server, the system, the memory, the CPU, the security, everything that this solution needs to run in order to be available globally, worldwide, for all of the citizens of the world to use to remit their 1% tax. That building of that infrastructure is done by a cloud solution architect. Another name for this is, you may say cloud. What is solution? Application. Application like Uber, Dropbox, there are millions of applications, data applications. So you can say cloud application What is the meaning of architect? Builder. So you build the application. I mean, that's what cloud engineers do generally. Build applications in cloud. But that application building is very, very wide, very, very broad. The part that has to do with setting up the infrastructure that would enable this solution to run, that is the part that a cloud solutions architect builds. Okay, let me give you a real world example. You know, a building, a house, you want to build a house, right? So, because these things are actually coined from real life situations like that. So if you want to build a house, so if you want to build a house, what is the real reason you want to build a house? Can I have your contributions now? What's the real reason you say you want to build a house? What do you want to achieve? At what level do you now say, oh, finally, I have, you know, that was building of a house to a problem. What is that problem that you want to solve, that you want to build a house for?
To save cost on renting.
To have a roof over your head so that all your
Yeah.
refrigerator, your fridge, your television, your family, everything, you'd have a place where you keep all of those furniture to begin to enjoy your life from there. So you have a roof over your head, right?
Yes.
That's the reason you want a house. All right, you may mute yourself.
Security and ownership.
Yes, all of those are details. But fundamentally, you just want a roof over your head and you want access to all of those good things of life, like we mentioned earlier on. So in the case of house, you are going to lay your foundation. And depending on how big or how small the house will be, this foundation will be laid to fit the kind of house that you have in mind to build. It's the same thing in IT. In IT, somebody is going to lay the foundation of the house. But in IT, why we call this one home? In IT, we don't call it home, we call it solution or application. I keep saying all applications so that it's actually called solution is more common, but just so that you know what we mean by solution. That's why I want to say application. So the person who is going to lay this foundation for you, even if it's not a learned person, it's not like an architect who's gone through all of the actual specifications. He's going to ask you basic questions of how many bedroom, how many story building, how many rooms, where would you want this? Are you going to, he's going to ask you a lot of questions to be able to determine what kind of foundation should this be. Would it be enough to just lay the foundation right on bare ground, or would they need to go deep into the ground, lay concrete, and then put rods to make sure it's a solid foundation? All of those questioning. These other solutions architects would also ask you when it comes to building the infrastructure that the application will run on. So what I have to call this one a foundation, and then you begin to lay the blocks on top of that foundation until you get what you want. In this case, we call this one infrastructure. And then you begin to build other infrastructure like the lady mentioned, security, ownership, networking. You begin to build all of those other infrastructure on top of the foundational infrastructure, just like you build your plumbing, your wiring, your internet, your sewer, your your windows, your door, your frame. You see, building is not just the bridge. It's a lot of things working together to form the complete whole. So also a lot of things will work together here on top of the original infrastructure to form a base. What would all of this combination form a base for? It will form a base that provide solid roof where you can have everything that you need in your bedroom, everything you need in your toilet, everything you need in your living room. Even in future, as new technologies are being released, you have room to accommodate all of them so that you live a wonderful life. So also for this application, even things that may happen that are not necessarily happening now, you may want to make provision so that when they come to bear, this foundation is still able to carry them. So the person who is able to understand the infrastructure enough to know what and what to put together to carry this application is the solutions architects. Architects. There are many solutions, this solution that, but the solutions architect. And that's essentially what you are training to become. You want to become solutions architect. So the person who goes into cloud and put all of the services and put services, tools, infrastructure, resources together in cloud to provide a secure, highly available, highly efficient infrastructure for the running of application. Just like you are doing this to provide a secure, durable home that meets standard, so that what? So that you are now able to move in your property worth billions of dollars, for example, and you are rest assured that yes, this house will not collapse on you. It will even outlive you the same way. So the builder, this person may be called builder, or sometimes maybe architect, there are engineers, there are so many people involved here depending on the side of the building. But this guy is simply called cloud solutions architect. All right, so do you know the meaning of cloud solutions architect now? And what is expected of you at the end of this course? It is expected that you're able to go into cloud, for example, AWS, and then I tell you, regional, I want to build an application like Uber, like I'm doing. I'm actually building an application for commercial use. It's going to be, okay. So it is up to me now as a cloud solution. In fact, the people, my developer, don't worry about it. But basically, I know what servers, what level of infrastructure, what level of tolerance, what level of high availability I need for my infrastructure to be able to host the application that I am developing. So that is your work. Somebody comes to you and says, "This, I want this, I want this, I want this for my application." What do you think? You are the person who will now say, "Okay, for this one, you need 14 servers. You need each of the server must be so RAM capacity. It should never go down. For it not to go down, you must have another 28 servers on alert so that if anything happens, those ones take over." All of those details that you are going to learn one by one are the things that you bring to bear to design that infrastructure for that application. All right, let's not emphasize that too much. You'll get a better picture as it proceeds. But on the high level, that is what a cloud solutions architect does. All right, any question now? All right, so what is the whole goal of architecting infrastructure in cloud? What do you want to do with it? Why would anyone want to go into cloud to set up servers, set up network, set up security, set up storage, set up database? What's the whole goal? What does he want to achieve with all of them?
To be able to manage applications and
to be able to run applications, correct. So that is where application must be to run. You don't develop applications and not put them in servers. So the whole goal is to accept that application and run those applications. And then after you have accepted the applications and you are running them, you should also be able to manage in terms of who is able to access what, when should they be up, all of those management. Your infrastructure, the infrastructure that you designed originally, to be able to withstand all of those management. And that is where your knowledge of Linux comes in. All right, so that is it. That was just the overview. Now let's go into cloud and start to do stuff in cloud. So if you have any question that will help you understand what we are doing cloud, I can speak to you. All right, no questions. So like you already know, let's go to AWS. So can you let me share my screen? AWS. Share screen. All right, you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is aws.amazon.com. You already know how to get here. In case you don't already have an account, you create your own account. All right. But since you were part of the other class, you don't know how to create an account. So in this case, you look for where to log in. So you sign into your account, you click that. In my own case, that is my email address that I used to create the account. I don't remember my password, so I just click that. You should remember, and then logs me. So this is cloud. All right. So last time we just went straight to creating EC2. No. So as cloud person, let's take a look around cloud first of all. The first thing you should see is this. There are so many services available in cloud. Look at them. So many services. One person cannot know everything in cloud. It's not possible. All right. So under analytics, there are so many services, basically services. So many services available. Under analytics, there's antenna, there's cloud search, there is this. Under application integration, look at all the services available. Right? So if somebody says, I'm an expert in application integration using AWS, he probably is an expert in using all of these services. All right? AR and VR, that's what's in really now. 3D, virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on and so forth. AWS cost management, blockchain, all right, business application, compute, and so on and so forth. All of them, look at it. However, at this level of cloud solutions architect, associate level, you are not expected to know everything because no one man can really know everything, all right? But they are all there. Management and governance, machine learning, Internet of Things. Somebody was talking about writing certification in Linux, and I was saying there are more relevant and more modern technologies you can write certifications in and be relevant even for the next 15 years. Yeah, they are here. All right. So again, I'm just showing you this to know that these services are available in cloud. In fact, there is almost nothing these days that you think of that cloud has not already made provision for in terms of how you can achieve it, the services and the tools that you can use to achieve that your idea, that your dream. And like we said earlier, this is why you could be a poor man today and in 6 months you're a millionaire. Because once you have that dream, and then they contact somebody like you, is a cloud person, cloud solutions architect, and then they discuss with you, say, come, I have this dream. What about if we do something like this, do something like this? And then you are able to use as the technical partner, or the cloud solutions architect employee, you are now able to use your knowledge to actualize, to bring that dream to reality by taking a bit of this, taking a bit of this, taking a bit of database, combining all of them, architecting all of them together to form a new solution. And then he just puts the idea in that solution. And then, wow, this is what the world has moved. So these are the services. To us, we are going to treat some of these services that are within the AWS Solutions Architect curriculum. All right, not all of them, but many of them. All right, so that's the first thing I needed you to know, that there are many services under in cloud, and they are listed here. This is just a category. Under this category, look at the many services that are available. In fact, even inside one of them, you see that there are other services within that one. So it's not, it's a tree. It just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. Right? You need a life. In fact, one lifetime is not enough to know everything. All right. So that is that. Any question with that?
I don't have.
Okay. So at least you know where to, if somebody tells you, I want to analyze my data and I need a tool called data pipeline. Do you know about it? Even if you did not know about it, at least you know where to go now to see, oh, is there data pipeline? Oh, is there? If you know about data pipelines, in addition to what you know, I'll hire you and I'll pay you 160,000 per annum. At least you know where to go and learn more about that. That's the whole idea of showing you. S3, you are going to do a lot of this. S3 bucket, IAM, EC2. You are going to do all of this. You are going to learn, well, not all. Yeah, almost all of them. All right. So I don't mean to scare you, but cloud is very voluminous. Okay, let's go. All right. The next thing I want to show you is Amazon Cloud Services covers the whole world. is like a network of fiber covering the whole world. Imagine that only one man owns that network of fiber around the whole world. It's a big deal. No wonder the guy is very, very rich. It's a big deal. Even across our own small country, we cannot lay fiber around. We're only using a microwave and other form of wireless technologies, which normally is not ideal for backhaul and for backbone network. It's ideal for last mile services. But now one company owns literally fiber networks connecting the world together. And then these fiber networks across the world, they are now divided into what we call zones. They are divided into regions, sorry. They are called regions, right? So within America, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regions. In other words, it's not, the fiber network is not recognized at state by state level. They are recognized at region level. All right, so you have US East, headquartered in Virginia. So the whole of US East is one region under AWS footprint, and is headquartered in North Virginia. Another US East, Ohio. US West North, then North California, then US West Oregon. All right, so these are the different regions of AWS in America. All right, as of 2 years ago, it was not present in Africa, but from last year or later 2 years ago, AWS now has a presence. In other words, a region and a headquarters of the region. I'm talking about technical region. I'm not talking about buildings or offices. I'm talking about the cabling that AWS uses to connect the world together in cloud, as a cloud and as presented in cloud, all right? So there's one in South Africa, Cape Town. So imagine how many, just this Cape Town region can employ 3 times more the number of the total employees of all our telecoms companies in Nigeria, all right? So these are powerful, these infrastructures. Okay, and so on and so forth. In Asia, we'll have 1, 2, 3. So altogether, AWS has over 18 to 21. We can just Google it, or since we are here, we can count right away to see the list. After the last count, I think I knew about 18. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I missed that. Let me just say 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. About 23, I'm not sure exactly, but something like that. All right. Well, Google will just tell you how many regions of AWS are there across the world. About 20. All right. So these are the different regions. So in setting up your infrastructure or any service at all in cloud, you must first of all determine which of these areas do I want to set up my server, for example, or my platform. So as a solutions architect, you are setting up a business in Germany to serve the German community, all right? And then you are setting up your server in Ohio, USA. You have to have a very good reason, because unless there's a good reason, it doesn't make sense. Why are you setting up a server in USA to serve Germany when you can just go to Frankfurt and set up your server and it will be close to your customers? Or why would you want to set up an app that will serve England, and then you are setting up the server in Hong Kong? There'll be so much latency, so much delay between requests, when customer requests for service and when the service is ultimately delivered. So what you want to do is set it up, set the infrastructure up. So it's important to know where the service is needed, and therefore set up your infrastructure accordingly. So that is the place of readiness. All right. So the first thing you want to do setting up infrastructure is to first of all, what am I doing here? It's the wrong thing. Sorry, I shouldn't be here. This is for my business. This is not for training. Let me log out and quickly log into. Higher math is not for training. All right, so, but you got my validation so far?
Yeah.
So let's quickly
Yes.
log out this person, sign out, and then let me log in as I think I think that one is what's that man? You remember the IP for the other class? The ID. That's okay. I think this one, Dean at theITern.com. Dean at theITern. Dean. Where is Dean? All right. So this is for class demo. This one we're in the right here. I'll just using a different account. That account is not for practice. So this is the account for practice. All right. All right. So let us set up our first infrastructure or our first service. All of these are services. So in this case, let us set up the simplest service you can ever set up in cloud is EC2, like you're already doing. All right. So let us take our EC2 and set it up. So we come here. If it wasn't displayed here, then we could just go here. Instead of going here and looking for EC2 under compute, no, that one is long route. Just come here and type EC2. And then whatever EC2 is, you can bring it out and then you can click it. EC2 means virtual server. Everything in cloud is virtual first of all. So it simply means server. All right, so to set up a server in cloud, so I take EC2, go to EC2 dashboard, just make sure EC2 is showing, all right? If it is showing like this, no problem, you can take instances. Sometimes it's already showing like this, so just come here and say launch instance. All right, so the launch instance. Excuse me. All right, unlike the other class where we rushed things and we didn't go into details, this time because you are cloud engineers, we are going to go into details. You really need to know what you are doing. So the first thing you do here is provide a name. How many people are in class? Let me see. All right. What are they? Let me use them.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm still at work right now, but I log in, but I'm listening anyway. But I want to know if the video is going to be available after the class.
Yeah, the video is always available.
Okay, thank
This is
you.
your first class with us?
Yeah, for AWS.
Are you part of our Linux class?
Yeah, I'm part of the Linux
Yeah, so
class.
video is always available.
Yeah, this is
All right.
Taiwo.
Okay. All right, so let's create a server and call it addate, for example. All right, so that's the name of our server. All right, so you scroll down. So what operating system do you want this server to run? Because this is not the operating system you go to Computer Village to buy and it comes on a CD and you run it from scratch. We just call this simpler format of operating system image. So operating system image is just a way of saying the small portable version of the bigger kind of operating system, but it doesn't lack anything. It's the same. It's just because it's that. If you come here, you see that there are different kinds of operating systems. There's Linux, Amazon Linux, Ubuntu, Windows Server Operating System, Red Hat, SUSE, Mac OS, Debian, and so on and so forth. All right. It's even possible that what you are looking for is not there. You can click this and you see in fact, hundreds of other different kinds of operating systems. All right. So whatever operating system your client needs, or according to your architecting, you determine that this is the best operating system for this purpose. You are going to take it here and then use it. Some of them are free of charge, like this one. This is free tier. All right, free tier. Verified provider. This one you may have to pay for it because free tier is not there. Apple doesn't joke with their properties. You always pay heavily for anything. All right. So whether you are paying or you are not paying, that's a different thing. The bottom line is all the different kinds of operating systems are available. Just take what you want. SUSE is a Linux operating system. So from what you can already observe, you see that even though there are many types of operating systems, more than 90% of them are Linux or Linux-based. Ubuntu is Linux, Windows. And then another observation, I don't know if let me not rush you with too many information. Let's just focus. All right, so let me not give you too much information. So let's, at this level, but of course you have them later. So let's launch, and then let's go back to, what do we call it? Added. All right, so let's just take one of these operating systems. So we'll take Amazon Linux. What's the next thing? Amazon machine image. So you come here, look at this. What we are seeing here is that there are different types of computers already prepared. All right, this one is free, but if you are taking this, you'll be charged. The more powerful ones, you'll be charged to use them. But for now, let us just take one of the free ones so that we are not charged. It just means that this is a simple computer. Okay, 64 bit. It's just a simpler one than this one. So we'll take that one. All right. Architecture, for now, don't worry about it. And then instance type. There are different kinds of instance types. T2 micro has only one processor. T2 micro has one processor and 1 gig RAM. T2 small has one processor and 2 gig RAM. And then look all the way down. T2 large has 4 processors and 60. This is a big computer, big system, already in cloud. And you can go all the way down to go and find one system that has 48 processors and 384 gig RAM. This is like 48 computers in a room working together as one computer. This one. Imagine how much processing this computer can do for you in 1 minute. It's very, very powerful, very powerful. And then you'll be charged $6.67 per hour for the use of this computer. Right? So if you were setting up a company where you want to compete, you already have millions of customers waiting. You are not in the league of let's start small and see how it will go. Then you know that, of course, these small computers cannot do that well. You want to go for the big computers. All right? I'm just calling them computers so that you understand that they are computers, but they actually call instances, and these are the different types. All right? So you can take any of them. But for now, since we are just practicing class, we just take this. And then key pair. Key pair is what we use to connect to our server remotely, like we did with our SSH client. Which SSH client did we use there? We used the mobile extend. All right. So without key pair, you will not be able to connect. Key pair is the security key to tell the client that you have authority to connect to the server. So when you say key pair, it means the key and the padlock. If you don't have a key and padlock, if you don't have the padlock, the key to the padlock, you'll not be allowed to connect. You must set up your key pair. All right. So in this case, we say create a new key pair, and then we'll give it a name. Give it any name. Let's call it added key pair. Key pair. All right. Just leave it as it is. It will use it in that format. Create key pair. All right. So that is it. It's downloaded already. And I know that anything that is downloaded to my computer is automatically downloaded to my download folder. All right, so I go all the way down. We'll do networking later, so let me not bother you with networking here. And then automatically, by default, you must allow, it comes with allow SSH connection. If it does not come with that, then you will not be able to connect to your server. And then your server is completely useless if after setting it up, you are not able to connect to it in order to configure. So this must always be on. If it is not on, then you'll not be able to connect to server. And then why are you setting up server and wasting resources if you cannot connect to it? So always leave that on. All right. So that's why it is on by default. And then as we progress, we'll come here later on, and then we'll turn this on. I'll show you what it does. But for now, that's just leave it on. Your storage. All right, so if you want more storage than 8, you can add, but for now, let's leave it. So you just set this, and then how many instances do you want it to set up for you at once? You want to set up 3 instances? You can put 3. You can set up 3 servers simultaneously. All right, and then you go all the way down, and then you say launch instance. Your instances, your 3 instances are launching now, and they have successfully launched. 1, 2, 3. All right, so you have set up 3 powerful servers right now, right away. If you are going to do this in the non-virtual world, in the real world, it will take you at least 3 weeks to order the computers. They will come to you, you plug them in, you run up, you put operating system in there, and then you prepare. It was going to take you so much time compared to going to cloud. And in 10 minutes, your servers are ready. Look at them. All our 3 servers. They're initializing. All right. So this is how to set up the server. And server is the number 1 thing. You are going to learn to set up so many things, maybe up to 100 different kind of services. But EC2 is the primary, is the number 1 thing that you must know. EC2 instance. All right, I'll take your questions now, and then just to revise everything we've done so far, and we'll proceed from there. So please ask questions in case you don't understand anything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So when the key pairs, can you use the same key pair for more than 1 instance? Let's say.
Yes, once you have the key pair file, you can use that same file. For example, add it as many times as you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can use the same key and padlock to lock off so many. Yeah. In fact, it's ideal because if you keep creating key pair for every EC2 instance that you create, you have too many of them and be confused. So the ideal thing is to have your own personal key pair, save it, and every time you are creating additional EC2, you use that key.
Then from the past classes on Linux, I find out that after we set up this server and we terminate it, it's gone.
Yeah, that's the meaning of terminate. Terminate means kill it, let it go forever. Yeah.
Oh, when I log in back, I was like searching everywhere to see what is
So it's
going
gone.
on.
It's already gone. No need for to terminate. You killed it, so it's gone. And it's a good thing to do. It's a good practice to always kill your service when you're not needing them. When you're not using them. Otherwise, you'll just be wasting money while they are. So no regrets.
What about when you stop the instance?
Okay, I will explain that. I will explain the difference between stopping and terminating. But for now, I still need to teach some things to help the other people understand. Okay. So for example, let me quickly explain something that will help you understand that answer. Let's go to share whiteboard. Now, when we say computer has 3 different services by which you judge how powerful or how not powerful a computer is. These 3 resources, they're actually called resources. I don't want to use that in that aspect. Are 1, the memory, generally represented as RAM. 2, the processor speed, generally represented by CPU, central processing unit. And then the storage, generally represented as it will be HDD, but HDD is no longer popular. That technology is called SDD. Right? When here, SDD storage. So the point I'm making here is, please mute yourself. So the point I'm making here is, in order to tell me about the computer, you must refer to these 3 things. These 3 things are called the system resources. So you don't tell me about the computer by telling me its color or how high it is on the from the floor or what year it was manufactured. Those are not relevant. What is relevant for me to determine how powerful computer is tell me about the memory, tell me about the processor, and tell me about the storage. So that's why when we are describing a computer, we just say 46 meg RAM, for example, 100 gig SSD, and then we just say maybe processor i7 or i9 or something. With these three, especially with this first two, I'm able to tell you, oh, that is a powerful. I can judge. I can tell you a lot about that computer just by these three. All right. So these are called system resources. All right. The memory, the processor speed, and the storage of that computer will tell me about it. Now, when you switch off, when you terminate a computer, all these three things, all these three resources are shut down and they don't exist anymore. So you are charged $0 or $0. But when you do not terminate, what was the other word? What was I trying to explain?
Stop.
Yes. When you stop without terminating, everything in memory is gone. The processor is not working, but the content that computer was processing or that it had last is stored in the storage. So you'll be charged. Any resource at all that you leave on in cloud, you'll be charged for it. So when you stop the instance, the memory is not in use, the processor is not working, but something is stored in the storage. And therefore, because you are using the storage, you'll be charged for it. So the answer to that question is when you terminate, it's actually a certification question. When you terminate an instance, you are not charged anything. But when you stop an instance, you are still being charged for the use of the storage. Does that answer the question? All right, so let me take this time now to answer any other question that will help you understand this thing well from this. If there are no questions from you, then I'll ask questions. What are you? 13 people in class? Okay, I'm the 13th, so 12 people. I remember having 12 payments. All right. Abolade. Who is a okay,
Yes,
Abolade. How do you describe a computer?
a computer.
Yes.
It is described by, okay.
Yeah, go on. Since you understand the question.
Yeah. Okay, it's described by its resources in terms
Its
of memory.
resources, correct.
Yeah.
And what are the system resources?
Memory, processor speed, and its storage.
Correct. Awesome. All right. That does not necessarily help you pass an interview, but at least it helps you. It gives me the confidence that you're an IT person because you are communicating correctly. I know what you're talking about. So that is the first stage. You are talking IT and you are using those terms well. So it gives me hope. Okay, you might just be the right candidate. All right. Good answer. Who is 13-17-6? Yes. I'm not saying your name.
I'm not sure if I'm the one.
Are you logged on from two places?
No, I'm logged on in one place on my.
Yeah.
I signed up on my phone. So this is my laptop.
So, okay. So yeah, it's you because I see you talk. I hear you talk. So this is your question. The Amazon AWS footprint, AWS network all over the world that is connecting all the different parts of the world together in its cloud footprint is divided into what? By what name do they refer to the different territories of this?
22.
22 what?
I don't know what they call them.
Okay, but you know
the one
the question.
The one you counted by the right side the other time.
Yeah. So they are called the regions, right?
Regions, yeah.
Regions. AWS regions.
22 regions, yeah.
Yeah, that 22, I wasn't so sure, but at least that's an idea.
Yeah, I counted it with you when you were counting.
Oh, I usually, I felt that I jumped one or so, but okay, at least you know what I'm talking about. That's important. All right, fine. Adetokunbo, Josonya. What is the place of key pair in setting up an EC2 instance? Are you able to go ahead and set up an EC2 instance even when you do not provide a key pair?
Yes, you could set it up, but the key pair is just for added security.
Okay, so you can go ahead and set up an EC2 instance without a key pair. It will allow you, no problem, right?
Yes, if you don't want to SSH, you could go without a key pair.
Okay, so what's the place of the key pair then?
Added security, if you want to SSH into the server.
SSH, yeah, you know the answer, but you are mixing it up. Security, the answer is for SSHing. That with security is not the answer.
Okay. Yes.
So if you want to be able to SSH to that EC2 instance, then you need the key pair.
Yes, sir.
That's the correct answer. So that other security that you're mentioning, no, that's not the correct.
Okay.
All right, correct. Yeah, I know it's a bit, you'll be wondering, yeah, we'll explain all of that. But beautiful. All right, who is next? Demola. Okay, I'll stop with Demola because I would have exhausted my questions. So when the Demola, if I want to find out, Demola, how many services do you think are available within cloud or specifically within AWS cloud?
If I count, there are lots of services. I don't think we can count them all.
That is correct. But do you have any idea? Yeah, you're already correct. There are a lot of services. You don't think you can count them all.
Because they only have the headings here, and the headings inside.
Anyway, it's about
each
1,800, about 2,000 services.
Wow.
But you got it anyway. There are a lot of services. You don't think you can count them all. I think it gives the person an idea that you know what these services are. You are not talking about the categories. You are not talking about regions. You are not talking about. So yeah, so that answer was good. Well, I have taken time to count them, or I have Googled, or I know that they used to be around 1,500 when I did my certification, but they keep adding services all the time, new technologies. So they are now about 2,000. All right, good answer. Ernest, what is the work of a cloud solutions architect? What does the cloud solution architect?
Cloud solutions architect builds infrastructure on which applications run.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Correct. George, can you give me examples of those infrastructures that Demola mentioned?
It could be web applications. It could be, it depends on the environment. So it could be for storage or for.
Have we set up infrastructure today at all?
Yes.
What infrastructure did we set up?
We've set up an instance, a EC2 instance.
So EC2 instance is an example of infrastructure.
Yeah.
So any other example of infrastructure?
It could be a storage.
Yes, storage is also, yeah, it's part of infrastructure. Yeah. So those,
the VPC.
Okay, yes, VPC, yeah, but because we have not done it, I wasn't expecting that. Excuse me, I'm having a session here, please. The noise is disrupting. I'm having a session, a meeting here. The noise is kind of distracting. So they can keep their voices down. I'm having a session. There's a class going on now. Yeah. If it was me alone, I wouldn't know. I have like all right, sorry about that, guys. Are you still there? Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here, sir.
All right. Okay, so yeah, those questions show that, those answers show that you are doing well so far. All right, let's learn something on top of that. Unless you have questions for me. You don't have questions?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so let's go back. Cloud. All right, so we're back to cloud. Huh? No, we're not back. Sharing, new sharing.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from EC2 services, is there any other can we use any other services like maybe Lambda or wherever to spin up us server in cloud?
What is Lambda?
Do you understand my?
Yeah, I understand the question. You're already an expert, so that's going to leave us so confused. So for now, I don't know what Lambda is.
It's one of the services.
Okay. But I don't know what it is.
Okay, apart from EC2, is there any other? Can we use any other?
Let's just take it step by step. Maybe you are here for the whole AWS, right?
Oh.
So let's ask questions on what we have learned so far, not on what we have done. We already saw that there are over 2,000 services. So if we keep jumping from, we'll just be mentioning the 2,000 without actually focusing. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Okay, all right.
Out of the 13 people here, I'm sure that at least 10 people do not know what Lambda is. So let's not confuse it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, yeah. So let's come here, let's delete this, let's terminate these ones, these two, so that I can have one and then we can study the one for them. We'll go to instance. You know what reboot means? Reboot means start the instance all over again. Sometimes your instance is misbehaving. You give it a command, it's not doing it right. Just restart it. We already know what stop is, but this time we don't want to stop so that we are not charged for storage. We want to terminate. So we just say terminate. Terminate those two instances? Yes. And then successfully terminate. All right, AWS is so fast these days. So let's refresh. All right, beautiful. So we have only one and we terminated the extraction. So let's take this one. Now look at this place. You see these instance properties, the details, the security, the networking, the storage, the check, the monitors, the tasks, everything about this particular instance that we just did. And it's very important. All right, so let us go and look at the credentials, the details of this instance called added. As a matter of fact, we can rename it. We can change the name from added to server 3 and save it. All right, so right now it's running, it's a T2 micro. So if we scroll down, we'll get the properties of that server. Excuse me. Details. Okay, so let me just scroll gradually. All right. Okay. I wanted it to go slowly. So, okay, so under details now, since I can't get the details, we have the instance ID, we have the public IP address of that instance, and IP addresses are unique. We'll talk more about them. We have the private IP address. Let's scroll down. And then we have the IP version 6. It has no IP version 6. What is the state of the instance? It's a running state. The public IP version 4 DNS, we'll talk about that. Yeah, maybe today. So basically, I'm saying that all the properties about that server, how big is it, what kind of server is it, what is the name, everything is under here, right? The instance type, T2. So your supervisor can see here, why are you wasting money? T2 is too much for this. Why don't you do, everything about that instance is here. Automatically assigned IP address is there. The VPC, like somebody mentioned, even though we have not done it, the ID of the VPC that it belongs to is there. The IAM role, all of the properties, including even the key pair, in case you forgot the name, that we assigned to this instance so that we can use it to SSH to it, all of them. All right. Again, all of this may not make sense from the very beginning, but just know that in case you need any of these properties, this is where to come and look for them. But the one that will make sense almost right away is the public IP address. As far as security is concerned, it's also there. The security properties of that EC2, look at them, all right? And then the networking parameters, credentials, they are all in, right? Cloud is so wide. And then what storage is attached to this computer? The storage capacity attached to this computer, you will find here, 8 gig, all right? It's attached, all right? So, and then, and so on and so forth. Status check, most important, monitoring, what? Just the task. All right, so most of the time, everything you want to see, you will see under details. Awesome. So the next thing we want to do now, let's work a little with, okay, let me bring up the manual. I've not seen the manual in a long time. Are you seeing my Word document?
No.
No.
I'm trying to open the manual for this course. Give me 1 second, let me look for it. So that I follow the manual statements. This is, okay, views. Then what? Okay, lecture notes. What are we? This AWS lecture notes. Okay, found some. Okay, so let's let me share. See, you cannot see my Word document. Let me share my Word. Share. All right. Can you see my Word document now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is what we'll follow now. Let's follow this. So that. So we already defined what regions are, what data centers are in previous classes. Availability zones. I've not explained what availability zones are. So let's explain that one. Because AWS expects you to know what is this. So we said that the AWS footprint is divided into what? Into regions. But a region is not just, the way regions are planned is like this. A region will not just be one rigid region like that. Or there another region like this. There another region like this. No, that's not how regions are built. How regions are built is that there will be a data center here. And then there will be another data center. And then there will be another data center. So this data center may be a replica. So data center B may be a replica of data center A. So that in the event of earthquake or any other disaster that eliminates this, that removes this completely and knocks this data center out of the network, then this data center can still continue to function even while this one is up, because everything here was backed up to this place. And this is the reason we say that cloud has very high reliability, that even when an entire data center goes down, you will not lose what you have in that data center, because all the while, everything you had here was being backed up through this fiber network to this other data center. And it will be designed and run in such a way that C, even though we have its own original traffic, can still serve as backup for this other two. So what I'm just trying to say in one word is that these three are arranged and networked together in such a way that one is backing up for the other one. So this arrangement of all of these data centers in such a way that the unavailability of one does not necessarily mean unavailability of your data. Your data could still be here. It's called availability zone. So availability zone, this is how they are arranged. And that is why they are called availability zone. It means that whatever happens, unless the three of them go off at once, and to reduce the possibility of three of them going off, this would normally be placed in one town, and this is placed in another town, so that the fire or the wind or the hurricane that destroyed this is not likely to also affect this one. And that is not likely to also affect this one. So when we say that there is a region in South Africa, imagine what we are saying. We are saying that a region is made up of at least 3 availability zones. So we are saying that we have 3 of these, one like that. Let's quickly remove this. So one availability zone, otherwise called AZ like that, another AZ like that. All of them connected together like this. Everything will now form region. So an AZ is made up of at least 3 what? Data centers. And then a region is made up of at least 3 AZs. Any question? When you are making presentation to work in Amazon or any of these big, especially with Amazon specifically, they require you to understand how this relationship works between data centers, AZs, and regions. When we say,
okay.
Yes, question.
You said the availability zone is made up of 3 data centers.
Yes,
and the regions are, I missed what you
made
said.
up of at least 3 availability zones.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So the idea of 333 is just high for high availability. If you have 2, it's not really, you know, the idea of Trinity. Everything 3 is really solid. 2 may not be so solid, but once it's 3, so that's why this idea of 333 ensures that it's highly reliable, it's highly available. All right. If there are no questions, let's take the next. And then the next thing, infrastructure is region-based, but so this one requires us to set up, install and configure Apache. Okay. Wow. All of this in one day.
We can't see your screen, sir.
Okay, don't worry, I'll bring it to you. Okay, so let's come back to class. All right, there are no questions with this. Let's move on. Let me share the other screen. Yes. Okay. The next thing I want to do now is to connect. It's more flexible, and you as the user have better control over your command line interface when you are working from outside cloud. And if I come here now and I say connect instance, the flexibility that I have here is not really so much. First of all, like somebody observed in the other class, the whole space is really taken up. Look at this space. I don't know if you can see. Look at the tiny space that I have to work. This is cloud. It's not my computer, so I don't really have control over how I can expand this space. So for this and some other reasons that you would experience later, let us go and work from here, but using our SSH client. Which SSH client would you like us to use? The one that we already know, Mobile Extend. So let's quickly download Mobile Extend, install it, and then connect to our server and start to use our server. We're already in cloud. Are you fine with that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I downloaded Mobile Extend yesterday if you were in class, and we loaded it. So there's no need to repeat what we already know. There's so much that we don't know. So let's quickly go back to my Mobile Extend, which already, unless you need me to repeat that. Otherwise, we already installed. So to look for my Mobile Extend, I'll come here and say Mobile Extend. Yeah, look at it. It's already installed. So I click that.
Okay, so I have a question, sir.
Okay.
Okay, the mobile extend, does it work on Mac OS or is it strictly Windows?
Does it work on Mac? Yes, somebody, yeah, you are breaking. Low system resources. That must be from your end. Yeah, somebody asked yesterday and later shared in the group that he found how to do it. Yes. Although it's
Yes,
not
sir.
compulsory you use mobile external. Mac has its own way of doing it, but because we are just starting, you can just find a way to manage mobile external. Within 7 lectures, we'll be done with mobile external. I'll give you better ways to do it.
Okay, sir.
Well, I didn't just want to jump. So even if Mac does not support it, you will not be mixing so much. You know how to use Putty with Mac? Putty.
No, I only go through the terminal.
Okay, but you're able to SSH into instances anyway from Mac, right?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Mac, terminal.
That's the real way.
Okay.
That's the real way. So stick with that. We'll come and join you at that level. But if I introduce that at this level, people will be confused. So let me just use third party for them.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. All right. So these are mobile extern. So let us create an SSH session to our server. So we'll come to session, we'll say SSH. And then what do I need here? The IP address of my server. So I go to my server. So where's my... Sorry? So where's my server? So even though 3 has, I will not be bothered because it says this one is terminated, this one is terminated, this is the running one. So I'll just focus on the running one. So don't let the appearance of 3 servers. So the running one is the real one. All right, so I take the running one and I go to the public IP address. I copy that one and I go to my remote host and I paste that. For username, EC2 user. And then for advanced SSH, my private key. What private key did I use? Added, right? So I go to my downloads. Where's my downloads? Downloads. And I say added key. All right, so that these are the 3 things I need to provide. So I provide those 3 and I say okay. And then I'm connected. All right, so I'm connected to my server now. So I clear the screen. So this is more flexible. I can work with this. This one I have control. I can shrink. I can say I don't want you. You know, I have control over this screen. It's better, right? Are we still together?
Yes.
You need me to revise anything?
Yes, just the last part. I missed where you added the add key pair.
Okay, so let's close this so that we can set up a new session. So I say session, SSH, my IP address, I copy the public one and I paste there for EC2 user. And then advanced, use private key. I click this button here to say browse. I check for my download folder.
Enter your PIN to unlock the device.
Then I check for the key pair that I created for that server. This is the one. I take it. Can you see? And I say open. That's it. It's already taken. It's here now. And then I say open. All right. So we have created the server and we are in control of the server now. We can now start configuring the server. If you did not know Linux and you thought you could go to cloud to set up a server, you have not done the job, because after you set up the server, what you have done, you now need to configure the server. You cannot go and hire somebody else just for you to create server and for that person to configure the server. So this is why I always say you are not a Linux person, you are not a cloud person if you don't know what to do with the servers that you create. To be able to do something with the servers you create, you need to know Linux. All right, so most of my trainings are people who would have gone ahead to do cloud. They would have paid heavily to somebody else to do cloud. And then after cloud, they now realize that I can't do anything with this cloud without Linux. Then they'll now come back to me and come and learn Linux from me. And the process of learning Linux from me, they'll now realize, even this cloud, you can even teach it better. Yeah, let's do cloud all over it. Right? And I'm sure some of you are in that position. But what I'm just
Quick
saying
question.
is,
Quick
yeah, Linux is
questions
very
on
important.
that.
Okay.
The question I have about this, are the companies going to give us what to put on the server, on the cloud?
Yes, now.
Like, okay.
They will give you they will tell you, I need my server to be able to do this, and this. Go and do it.
Oh,
Like we'll do now. I think we'll still have plenty of time.
okay.
We'll do something today. We'll convert a server to web server today. Yeah, good question. Any other question? Yeah, they are going to tell you, they are going to speak English to you. And then it's now up to you to carry that grammar to go and convert it to technical requirement and do what the will say in English as I have done it. All right. Any other question? Yes, question. All right. Okay, so in fact, to answer your question, let's go back. Can you see my Word document now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who is this lady in class? What's your name?
I'm Mo.
Oh, Mo, okay. Mo that used to be my assistant on the platform, but you stopped helping me now.
I was. Actually, I was helping some people offline.
Oh, okay. That's nice. All right. Now, the question you asked earlier, this is an example of the question. Can you see the question? So what they want you to do now, what your employer wants you to do, is set up a web server. This server that you just set up now, make it a web server. You know what a web server is? A web server is a server that will allow you to put a website so that the whole world can browse. You cannot just put a website on any computer and expect that the world will be able to browse it. No, there is something you must first of all do on the server to make it a web server so that if you now put a website there, the whole world can now browse. In any case, it's already in cloud, available to the whole world. So just making it a web server and putting a website there, the world can now browse. So this is the assignment. So your employer is going to tell you, we have this website that we want to, our sister company, all our sister companies in Nigeria, South Africa, and all our African countries, we want them to see everything centrally. And then they are going to ask you, what's the best way to do it? You are going to say, I think a good way to do it would be for me to put it on the web server and then give them the IP address or the domain name of the web server, and everybody will be able to log in. We'll be able to browse the content for the next 3 days. And then once everybody has browsed, then I put it there. All right? So that's what we're going to do now. We should have done this in Linux, but we have not done it in Linux. So I don't know. Don't worry, we'll still do it in Linux.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Please, can I ask a question? I just followed you and to link up into my instance, but it gave me the error. The system cannot find the file specified. And I was wondering, I use the.
I have no idea where you are at all, unless you take a Photoshop, a screenshot, and then show me.
Okay.
So I don't know which part of at what.
Yeah, I was using my mobile extent to access the instance. I wanted to log into the instance.
And then it gives you an error, you cannot log into the instance?
Yeah.
Are you sure you got usually it will be with the key pair. Are you sure you got your key pair, right?
Yeah, that was a key pair, yeah. That was a key pair I used. I probably can give you the
IP.
The IP, I copied the IP, just like
the public IP, not the private one.
Yeah, the public one, Yeah.
Have you used your mobile XTime on anything else before? Has it worked on?
I downloaded that yesterday, but yeah, this was a challenge I saw yesterday. So I just felt, probably I didn't specify the username well because I saw that
your mobile XTime has not worked well before at all.
No, it hasn't logged in. It didn't log in yesterday too. Yesterday was my first class with you in the.
Okay, so this problem you're having is not a new problem. You had the same problem yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You should have left it there now so that Mo will help you identify the issue.
Okay.
Between that yesterday and today, you should have put it on the screen. Are you part of the forum?
Yeah, I'm part of it. I'm part of it.
Just take a screenshot, put it there, and we'll tell you what to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go and do this. All right, so what do we do? Man, it's going to be hard though, because it's like teaching you Linux from primary. Okay, let's do it anyway. So let's go to our configuration. So so this is our server, right? Print working directory. This is our server. Do you have any folder here?
Not yet.
No.
No, we do not.
All right. So there's a command called sudo su. I'm going to do to install. I don't even know where to start from. Okay, let's do. Yum updates. Yum updates is a command for updating this server. And I say yum updates. And it says you need to be the administrator. Root means administrator to be able to perform this function. So this function will not work because I do not have the authority, the permission. Who am I? Who is logged in now? Who am I? I'm EC2 user. EC2 user cannot use this command. You must be an administrator to use this command. So every time you use Linux and Linux tells you, I cannot run this command for you because you are not an administrator. You are going to use, say, in the name of the administrator, run this command. And to do that, the command is sudo. Sudo means I'm using the name of the administrator now. Go ahead and run this command. So once you use sudo and then you enter the same command, update, the command is now going to run. So have you learned something today? That even though you are not an administrator, you can use the power, the name, and the power of sudo to run administrative command. All right, so that's it. Are you sure you want to run this command? I'll take Y for yes. So that is it. So the server is now updating. Why do we need to update? Update is part of the preparation you need to first of all complete before you can even talk about converting the server to the web server. All right? You see things happening now. So Linux has updated your server now. So what do you want to do to this server? What you want to do to this server, amongst the over 500 possible things that you can do, is you want to make this server your web server. The command to make your server, web server, is yum install. Then the protocol for web server is called HTTPD. We'll still do this in Linux, but we're already here now, so I can't run it. HTTPD. So what does this mean? This means yum install is the command for installing packages. And the package we want to install right now is web service. But in English, they call it web service. But technically, the protocol for web service is HTTPD. So that's why we have it like this. So it's yum install. This is normal anytime you want to install a package or a service in Linux. It's yum install. Then what is the name of the service you want to install? Whether it's firewall or FTP or whatever it is, put the service. In this case, the service that we want to install now is what? HTTPD. HTTPD is the technical name for web server. HTTP demo. All right.
I have a question, sir.
Okay.
Okay. According to from your industry experience, what's the most popular web server?
How many web servers do you know?
Okay, Node.js, Django, Apache.
Oh, those ones are not web servers. Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get to the web server.
Okay.
Because you don't even know web server, so I cannot tell you the most popular one.
All right. Sorry for jumping the gun. Okay.
we'll get there if you are doing DevOps. So web servers will be HTTPD, which is Apache Web. There's Tomcat, and then there is there's Tomcat. There's this Apache Web Server. There are two other popular ones.
IAM.
Yeah, IIS is for Windows. IIS is good for Windows, not necessarily for Linux. Then there's one more.
Nginx.
Yeah, Nginx. So of all of these, Nginx will be like the most popular. So there's Nginx, there's IIS. Now we're confusing the other people. Let's go on. Let's go back. Come back. Now you have installed HTTPD, right? Are you with us now? The other class?
Yes.
So I press enter. So it's giving me that problem, like that's issue that gave me earlier on. You remember when he said this? All I know, Silas, remember that thing in the Bible?
Yeah.
So who are you? Administrator, I know. Root, I know. Who are you to tell me to go and install this? What's the solution? Say, in the name of
sudo.
I don't know whether there are no fitness here, so I don't want to mention. so sudo, you now do your HTTPD. So now that you have supplied sudo, just put sudo in front of this same command. It should work now. All needs to bow. How is it said? You press enter now, and I say, to do it. Now this yes that you answer all the time, you could have just put it in front like this, -y. Can you see my Word document? -y means anytime you ask me a question that requires yes, just take yes as my answer.
Ahead.
Just go ahead. It's automation. So there will be no need for you to stop here to ask me for the answer. But in any case, because I did not give the default answer of y, I'll still have to manually enter y. I come here and I enter y. Awesome, beautiful, it's done. So just that simple statement, just that. And at interview, they ask you, do you know how to install HTTP? You say no. It's like it's a big deal. How can you say you don't know how to install it? But the installation is just one command. Look at it, it's already installed. So by this installation, this server, this instance is now a web server. It is now safe to post a website there, and then it will be available to browse globally like we are going to do. All right, so that is it. That's how to install a web server. Because there are many different kinds of web server, that is how to install this particular one called Apache web server. All right, so let's go ahead and test. We said we have installed web server. Let's test to see if it's working. So the next thing we want to do is restart the service. So the new configuration you just completed will load. Again, we'll do this in Linux, I hope. You know, our Linux is actually free with Linux. So in case we are not actually able to cover all of this because of the crowd, I'll still have to come back to the details of Linux with you. All right? So irrespective of whether we'll cover it in class or not, we'll still come back. So that's why I'm actually taking my time now to just do it. All right. So in Linux, every time you install a service, you must restart the system for the system to be aware of the new service you just installed. Right? So the way to do that is to say systemctl. So come here and say systemctl, system control, restart. What's the name of the service that we installed now earlier on?
HTTP.
Check your system spelling. You put double S.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is it correct now?
Yes, sir.
And of course, we already know the sudo. So now that we know it, let's just get used to writing. So sudo systemctl restart HTTPD. Awesome. As long as there was no complaint, it means that it was done. So when I say restart the system, I actually meant reset the service that you just installed, not the whole system, not like shutdown. All right. So by this one, you have restarted the HTTP service. So this system, this server is now aware that it is a web server. All right, that is it. It's not a web server. So you want to browse? What is the characteristic of a web server? Web server, you should be able to browse it. You should be able to browse the IP address. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have anything here? Let's quickly put something inside so that when we browse, we'll be able to, at least we expect to see something. So the place, at least you know the meaning of echo, right? If I do this, if I say Control P, paste, no. Okay. So this is a command. This is a command. What's this command saying? This command is saying echo, put hello world into this file. This file is the default place. This file, please follow me. Do you understand it? We used echo in class yesterday, right?
Yes.
So I'm saying put this echo word into this file index.html, which is inside this directory HTML, which is inside this directory www, which is inside this directory var. These are some of the things we were trying to learn yesterday. In fact, let me change this hello world to something that you let's anybody's name here.
Adetokunbo.
Adetokunbo. Ademola USA. All right, it's this one you. All right. So what this command is saying is put this name, put this content into that file. So let's press enter. Permission denied. All right. Permission denied means we should do sudo somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So echo. Okay. Well, this is confusing. Permission denied. So when permission is denied like this, what you could do is change to the administrator. Instead of using the sudo, become the administrator, he said. So we could do sudo su. So we are no longer operating as EC2 user. We are now operating as root. And operating as root compared to operating as EC2 user, nothing can be denied us. We are the administrator. And the sign has changed from $ to hash. All right. So if we now repeat that command now, we will no longer have permission denied because we are now in permission. All right. So if you press enter now, so that has been done. All right. Now let's go and test. Let's go and test to see. We sent Adetokunbo Ademola USA to this file. Let's go and browse it. How do we browse? How do we browse? Let's go and browse. So go to a browser. Whether browse with the domain name, right now you don't know about domain name, or we browse with the public IP address. That's why it's called public. It means that you can browse it and the whole world can see. So you take the public IP address, you go to your web browser, and you put the public IP address. Then you press enter. We expect to see the website that we have placed inside that place. And what the website is reading is Adetokunbo Ademola USA. All right, the fact that it is delayed tells me that there is a connection problem. It's not able to connect to my server. Are you getting it? So let's troubleshoot. What is this protocol? What is this?
Hypertext transfer protocol.
Okay, so simply HTTP, right? Now, let us go to the server. Look at our server. And then we are trying to connect to the server. This is we started the course now. It's getting interesting. We are attempting to connect to that server using this port number, HTTP. And then if we go to the server now, let us go and check the security of that server. The security of that server, what does it say? Let's go down. Let's go. Security group, let's open it. Inbound. What does it say? It says allow SSH to come in. So let us edit inbound. We say allow only SSH, but what was trying to come in here was HTTP. Anything that was not allowed was blocked. So HTTP was trying to connect to the server, but it was blocked. So let us add the rule and say,
enter your PIN to unlock.
so we add the rule now and say, anytime a protocol is trying to come into you, this server, from HTTP, allow it. Look at it here. The HTTP. Allow HTTP, otherwise called port 80. From where? From anywhere. So we say 0.0.0/0. It means from anywhere. Irrespective of where the traffic is coming from, as long as it is requesting to enter you through HTTP, allow it. All right, so we now say save rule. Awesome. Now that thing that was blocked earlier on, let us go back now. Let's refresh and see what I used to be doing. If we refresh now, it's no longer blocked. It has been allowed to go into the server. And we can now see Adetokunbo Ademola, our web page that we placed in there. The test is working. Awesome. So we have converted the server to a web server, and we have tested that it is working fine. So it is now the turn. It is what I'll do now is call the web department of this organization and say, my name is Akin, I'm the solutions architect. I have created a web server for you. The IP address of the web server is this. I have tested it, it's okay. Now go ahead and put the website that you have developed for this organization, for this company, onto that site. I've tested it and it works. It is not my work to develop a beautiful website and make it colorful. No, it's the web, that is the work of the website web designer people. So my own is to set up the infrastructure for them to do their work. And that I have done by this. And I'll give them this IP address. So 2 days later, if I come and I enter the same IP address, I'm going to see beautiful website with forms, everything beautiful. But even though I was not the one who designed it, I am the one who created the infrastructure for that web. All right, so this gives you a good example of what is expected of you. So every time any department within the company needs something as far as its IT, you are the person they come to say, I need a server that will do this, or my server space is finished, I need more space, or my server was supposed to do this, but it's not doing it, or my server did this yesterday, but today it's not doing it. What do I do? You are the person who knows what resource to add, what resource to remove, what command, Linux command to use to manage those resources to provide the environment that they need. All right, questions?
Can we take a 2-minute break, like a bathroom break?
Yeah, we'll just slow down while you're away.
It wants it.
Or everybody want the same break, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's take this 7:40. 10 minutes or 20-minute break? 20 will be so. Let's do 10 minutes or 15.
Fine. No, 10 is okay.
10 is
10
okay.
is okay.
All right, 10 minutes. So we'll see you guys back here at 7:50. All right, so stop share. Let's stop recording. We didn't record all of that in production, but it's okay. All right, that's fine. That should stick in memory, even though we don't have a recorder. All right, so yeah. So let's go on with class. What else did you have questions with the last practice that you completed?
I was just wondering if you were going to share your Word document with class at the end of the class.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have that manual is yours, so I'll share the manual.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's the step-by-step guide. I just copy and paste. But if you need us to revise, yeah, you can just quickly.
I think if we can do the echo and the sudo su, just a recap.
Okay. Okay, so Let's minimize. No. What are my tools? Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the configuration. So what did it? So first, let's recap the whole thing. Let's say clear the screen, and then switch user to EC2 user.
Okay, I'm not seeing your screen, sir.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we can't see your screen.
Let me share again. I'm looking for my tools to share. Where are the tools? Bear with me. Screen. Okay, can you see now?
Yes, you can see your screen now.
Okay. So let's clear this. So I was saying, okay, this how it was before we started the upgrade from the mail server to web server. So from here, we just do sudo su. What does that mean? It means, okay, sudo su means I was operating as a user, EC2 user. Now, I want to become root so that whatever command I enter, I will not be told permission denied. Everything should go smooth. So to do that, you do sudo su, which means change user to super user. Change the current user from root, from EC2 to root. That's the mean. And you see it like this. These are Linux commands. All right. So if you say, who am I now? Who am I? You are going to say that you are no longer EC2, you are now root. So this way, there is no need to do sudo before you enter any command. But if you were not operating as root, then you need to enter sudo before you enter any command. Okay. So that was the first thing here.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Sudo and sudo su, what's the difference?
Sudo is the name that you invoke to say this thing should go anyway, even though I'm not an administrator. Su means switch user. So su is a different command. It means switch user. So instead of saying switch user to root, if you say switch user, it understands that you want to switch user. So can you see the screen? If I say switch user to EC2 user, all right? So the command is su. It's independent of sudo. It's not the same thing as sudo. It means switch user from root to EC2 user. So if I press enter now, I'm now operating as EC2 user. You see the difference?
Yes, sir.
So switch user, change user from whatever I am. But if I say switch user to root, they don't type that. They don't say root. Anytime you say switch user, you don't need to put root. It just means switch user to root. And in this case, it's asking you for password. They don't know password. They have nothing to do with password. So you just say sudo.
What about CD?
CD is the Linux command. That's all. It means change directory.
Okay.
All right. So that's that. Because this is the note you are going to have. So let's follow this. So because we are now doing sudo su, then there is no need for us to do sudo here. So if we just say yum update, we are not putting sudo. You know why we're not putting sudo? Because we're already
administrator already.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the first thing we did. So because we updated the last time, it's saying there is nothing to update. Now everything is up to date. That's what it should be saying. No package map for me. So everything is up to date because we did that in a few minutes. Now the real command to change, to make this server a web server, this is the command: yum install httpd, then -y is to automate the answer y. So if you copy that, like you are going to do when you have the node, Control-C, just paste here by right-clicking. Once you right-click it, you just paste. That's one of the beauty of using your SSH. Okay, so yum install httpd, and anytime there's need for answer, take y. You press enter, and then to install. In this case, it's telling you it's already installed. There's nothing more to install. But remember, it took a while to and took a while to install the first time when it was not installed. All right. And then anytime you install a new service, in this case, we just install this new service on this server, because one Linux server can run thousands of different services, and that's what you are learning. What services are available that you can install. You know, so we'll be learning many of them. All right. So anytime you install a new service, you need to restart that service for the Linux machine to be aware that, oh, you have given me the responsibility to, okay, it's not part of my job, I'll do it. And the command to restart a service is system ctl restart. Then what's the name of the service you want to restart? In this case, it is HTTPD. Could have been network or any other service, but this is HTTPD. All right, so if you press enter, it is done. So by this command, by the installation of this command and the restarting of that, by the installation of this service and the restart of that service, we now have this server as our web server. It's not a web server. So this other long thing we did was, let us put something on the web page. The web page of, so the default place that is reserved in this server for web pages. Anytime you have a web page, you must put it specifically in that space for it to show as web page, for it to be browsable. So the place is let me show you the place. What are we, by the way? Print working directory. We're an EC2 user. Let's go back to CD root. That's the meaning of that CD root, right? We're in root now. What are we? Print working directory. We're in root. So show me everything. ls-la. Look at the different directories, system directories that came with. We're not doing Linux actually. We're above the other class now. All right. So there's this directory called boot, dev, etc, home, and so many directories for different purposes. All the powers of Linux, they are housed in these different directories. Okay, binary for executable file, boot, dev, etc for configuration files, home for home directories, media, and so on and so forth. And then we'll be using some of this as we move on. But for this particular case, what we want is in var. Let's go into var. cd var ls-la. So var also has many directories. Part of the many directories, one of them is www. All right. Of course, that already tells you that this has to do with World Wide Web. This must be the place that is related to website and World Wide Web and HTTP. So go in there, cd www. All right, ls. So there are two directories, HTML and the other one, CGIB. Of course, it's logical that if you are creating HTML file, this is the place to check. So cd HTML. All right, so what's in there? There is a file called index, but it wasn't the original. But if you read the big books and you understand Linux, this is the default directory for index.html. Index.html is the home file of your website. You know, even if your website has 20 pages, the very first page that loads, and then from there you can call the other pages, is called the home page. So this is the place where home pages must be, otherwise they will not be browsing. And the name of the typical name of home page is index.html. They could come in other names like home.html, but this index is just typical. All right. In this case, we already have index. Let's modify it. Do you know how to modify a file? Let's change this to something else. So remember, vi index. This, in fact, if you don't want to type, you can just copy. Just say this one, whatever the name is, just highlight it and then right click here. All right, so this was what we had in there. Let's remove it now. Remember, I for insert, delete, and then let's put our new home page. What do we want? This is just a sample text. If you can see, if it's a keyword, let's remove it. When you see this text, it means that your web page is active and your web server has been configured correctly. All right, so this is the content of your web page now. It's just for test. You are not a web developer. All right, you are done. Escape, colon, right, quit, bank. Remember we learned this? All right, so you are done. So what have you done? This is what I have done. Instead of using these shortcuts to do what this one did, I went the long way to actually do it directly. So that you'll not be wondering, how did we come about this? So we are done now. So we have created a web page inside this web server. How do I convince you that this thing is working? The only way to convince you is to give you the IP address and browse it from your computer and see if you can see it. So you copy the IP address. Let's go there so that, because this is live on in cloud. This is not experimenting. This is the real thing. So you should be able to work for you as well. So for this server, all right, so can you copy the IP address? Do you see this address? 18.191.249.106. Type it in your browser. Let's see. Type in your browser like I'm going to type it. Okay. All right, do you see it working?
Yes.
All right. So the idea that you can type the same IP address from there, you can see the same thing. It means that we are live. So the idea of where do we first of all try or test or improvise? No, this is the real thing. Improvisation. All right. So the first time when we did this, it did not work because of something called security. So we went back to the server, and then let's look at the server. There's something called security group in server. So we go to security, and then we'll go to security group. We'll click the security group. All right, now let's explore. Let's look at the security group. It has inbound rules and outbound rules. For security group, they are the same. We'll talk more about that when we get to VP10. Yes, we'll get to VPC. We'll talk more about it. Now, if we come here and we say edit inbound rules, it is only the protocols or the ports that are open for this server that would be that communication can happen. Every other port that is not open, communication cannot happen. So initially, this port was not open; it was blocked. In fact, let's delete it. All right. So right now, it's only SSH that you can do through this port to this server. So if we save, I will now attempt to go and browse again. It will not work because the port through which we should connect to the server to be able to access that page is not open, it's blocked. The fact that I cannot see it means that it's blocked. So the port is locked. It's a security measure. That's why it's called security group. All right. So let me go back to that instance. This is the instance. Let me go to security group. It's a common exam question. All right, security group. And then I see that the only kind of communication that can happen with this server is if I'm trying to SSH, like we'll be doing from here. we've been able to SSH successfully from here to the server. That's good because the SSH port was open. So the reason I'm not able to communicate through HTTP is because HTTP blocked ports. It's not open. So to open it, I edit the inbound route and I say add route. Please allow HTTP. I come here among this protocol and I look for the HTTP protocol. Where's HTTP? HTTP. And I say allow communication, allow ports, allow communication through this port to this server. From which particular system? From all systems, any system. 0.0.0.0 means all systems. We'll talk more about IP address in later. All right. And then we'll now say add. So now that we have opened the port, we are now able to connect to that server through this port and be able to browse that. That's why we are saying this. Be clear now?
Thank you.
All right. All right, so 3 exam questions to come from here. Questions like, I created a web server and I tried to browse it. I mean, this will be, it may not be in this way, the West will be more technical, but basically say, I created a web server, I attempted to browse the web page that I placed in the server. I'm sure that I placed it in the right directory. So it's not a matter of you didn't place it in the correct directory. It was placed in the right directory. Yet I'm not able to browse it. In your troubleshooting, where are the possible places you would check? You can tell me. What are the errors you would try to correct? You have that issue.
Check the security group.
Security group. What would you be looking out for?
The inbound row.
Yes. What exactly? Row. Yeah.
HTTP.
Yes.
You're
You want
looking
to
for the
ensure
port.
that your HTTP port is enabled. HTTP. Yeah. There are many protocols, so you have to say HTTP. Oh, good. All right, so let's learn something new. That was all of that was revision. Any other question before we learn something? All right, so we have done this. Copy and paste the public IP address in your browser, and then look at this yellow mark. Remember to allow HTTP. That's the question you just answered in your security group. Otherwise, you'll not be able to browse. We have done all of that. Optional. 2. Now, let's do something else. We are here now. There's something called user data. All right? There's something called user data. Let's look at this. Now, in Linux, when you have many commands, you can actually assemble all the commands together. And then, you know, these commands here, these commands that we have here, I can just select the commands, sudo su, sudo yo. I just select the commands and look at them. Look at the command. I just selected only the commands. And then I put this sign on top of them, shebang bin bash. All right. So when I put shebang, this sign, shebang bin bash on top of the commands, what am I saying? I'm saying I'm automating these commands. Instead of doing it manually like we did here before, I am automating, I'm saying, run this command. Once you run this command, run this one, just run everything automatically. Don't wait for anything. So this process of automating, listing all the commands, putting shebang on top of them, and trying to automate the whole process is called scripting, bash scripting. So this is a script. This is a Linux script. Linux script. What is a script? Just a list of commands that would run automatically, one after the other, and complete the entire job without manually entering, waiting to do explanation like we did. All right. So now that we have this, and what makes it a script? It is this line. Shebang /bin bash. So let me show you how to run a script so that everything we did manually before can be automated. All right, let's create another server, or maybe we use the same one. Let's create another server. So let's go to EC2, running server. Let's create server 4. All right, let's quickly create server 4. How do we create server? Launch instance. Server 4. All right, Like somebody asked earlier, we can just use the same key pair. The key pair. We don't have to be creating a new key pair all the time. Everything else is good. I don't say launch server, launch instance. AWS has improved, so it is faster now. So our server is ready even in seconds. We have our server for now. Awesome. Now let us, while it's still coming up, while it's trying to start, let us quickly create an SSH session to it. So what do we need from here? Public IP address. So let's go to our SSH. Where's our SSH? Right here. So let us set up a new SSH connection. And then this time, let me know this. So let's do session. SSH. So what do we have here? IP address. I already copied it. What do we have here? EC2 user. And then what do we have here? What key are we using? The same key, right? And then what do we have it? Downloads. Where's my downloads? Let's look for downloads here. Open here, downloads. And then that's the key. All right, so we provided the 3 parameters, credentials within, and we are good. All right, so clear the screen. Now let's connect to that server now and start configuration. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, I was in a rush. I didn't show you what I wanted to show you. I missed it. Sorry about it. Let's create another server. But that was not a waste of time. You see how simple it is now to create an SSH session to a server. But what I wanted to show you was something called Bootstrap. Here, let's go back and create a new server. This time, I will not be in a rush. So let's launch a new instance. And let's call this one our web server. Usually when you have multiple ones, you just separate them with. All right. So Amazon offer. Let's use this. Hello. Alpha. Let's see if I can meet. Can you mute yourself, please? Because okay. All right. So let's watch out for. Now, instead of we already know that HTTP is important, right? So instead of waiting to have that problem, why don't we just allow HTTP right away? Instead of waiting to have the problem before going there to open it. Allow HTTP traffic from the internet to access my server. So we have taken care of that problem. All right. Then there is something new. Look at this place, advanced details. And then let's scroll down. Yes, this is the place, user data. This is what I want to show you. This user data, all right? If you now copy your scripts, we copy this all the way to this place, and then we'll say Control-C, and then we'll go and put it here, Control-V. You know what we have done now? We have automated the process. We are saying that once this system is starting, once this instance is starting for the first time, it should at once, from the very beginning, load and implement these commands. We are not even waiting for the server to first of all install successfully before promoting it to web server. We are just putting it even as part of the booting process. So we'll put it here. All right. So that's what I really wanted to show you. If we now say launch instance, the minute that instance is launching, it's already available. If I just go ahead now and browse it, let me get the IP address so that I can browse it. So that's it. If we just go and copy the IP address and browse, Control-V, and then we'll press enter, you should be able to see the content right away. Because everything we did manually earlier on, we have now installed it as part of the user data, and then it should work right away. If it doesn't work, we need to troubleshoot to find out. For the time being, the reason it's not working is because it just started to run. It's just ready now. Okay. Before it was pending. So now that it's ready, okay, it's running now. Let's go and try it. So let's try one more time. Refresh. Well, the problem, it should be showing me the content right away. So let's troubleshoot.
So you failed to copy and paste. You failed to copy and paste.
So I copied and pasted. It's still initializing. So what do you say I did not copy and paste?
While we're waiting for the user data.
I pasted. I didn't paste.
No, I think you're in an error. You missed it.
Let's see. So what is
he pasted it.
He pasted it.
Yeah, he pasted it.
All right, so let's just.
I think it worked now.
Okay, it's working. It's working now. So it was just because it was not ready. Now it was initializing. So let's wait a little more. So it's working now. So welcome to my page. This is exactly what I have there. Welcome to my page. Akin Aregbesola. Click on the just like I have it in the Word document. Welcome to my page, Akin Aregbesola. So that's it. So the point I'm making here is you are now beginning to see automation gradually, how automation works. Instead of first of all setting up the server and then running all of this one by one, you can put the script right in the user data because the exam is going to ask you, what is user data? You are going to test your knowledge of your understanding of user data. You just put this one at the beginning. What is this one called? It's called a script, a bash script. Bash script. And then it will just run. All right. Any question? So you are going to have this, and then it will just be a matter of copying and pasting. But before you copy and paste, understand why you are copying and pasting. Any question? All right. So if I ask you, how can you do automation for an EC2 instance? Whatever the answer is, at least you are answering from, the answers could be wide, but if you're answering from the perspective of what we just completed, user data is used for bootstrapping. Bootstrapping means execute this set of commands even while you are starting. Don't wait to complete it and wait for to enter the command. Automate book task. Shebang, this is called Shebang. The @ and the bank together, they are called Shebang. It's the first ever 2 characters of shell or bash script. To know whether a script is shell or bash, you must start with this. If I remove all of this now, if I delete that, Control D, it's no longer a script. It's just a set of commands. It's not a script. It is the introduction of that line that makes it a script. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between shell and bash?
It's the same thing. They are all shell, but there are different types of shell. Some are bash shell, some are other kinds of, but bash is the common kind of shell. Shell simply means the command line interface type where you are typing your command. This one, this shell, this command line interface. Okay. So the general name is shell, but the specific kind of shell can be. I think there are 3 different kinds of shell, but this shell is bash.
Okay, I think there's bash, there's Z shell.
Yeah, but they're not really important. The other type, but this one is bash.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you need to kind of memorize all these commands?
No, not memory. But you need to have used them enough for them to be able to stick in your memory so that, for example, I've not used these commands in the last, I've not actually taught in the last 3 months or so. My trainers have been doing the teaching. But once I look at them and use them once, everything comes back. Because I've practiced with them long enough to know that, oh, so basically, no, you don't need to memorize, but you should have practiced with them long enough, ideally over 6 months, for you to know that, oh, every time you install a new service, you need to restart the service for that service to work. So therefore, it is normal that after you do your install, the name of the service, in this case, the name happens to be HTTPD, could have been anything else, you must the next set of commands that must follow would be systemctl restart and the name of the service. I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah, any other question? Am I too fast?
No. Yeah, good.
Okay, so I think that's about it. So let me just briefly explain the concept of scalability, load balancing, and so on. And then would that be all for today after that? Yes, that'll be all for today. And then we'll go on to lecture 2. Yes. But I still have time. I can explain this in 10 minutes. So let me take more questions.
So these course guideline, are they available?
Which one? Which of them?
The one you are following now. The lesson.
Yeah, it's your material. Now, this is your material. I told you already. I'll give this to you.
Oh, okay.
This is your notes. This is your manual.
Okay.
30 page. Yeah, I'll give it to you. And even more materials. I'll give you as many. In fact, materials will be boring for you. Material is not the real thing. So just leave me to read and understand the material and then pay attention to the explanation in class. It will save you the, you already paid for it, so it will save you the rigor of having to read so much. So I'll summarize everything into this manual, and then I'll send you the manual, the full manual right away.
Okay, so.
Any other question? To help you get the fundamentals right, because we get to a stage where you'll be asking all of these questions. I'll be saying, well, you're not in class then. Why didn't you ask then? Why are you drawing us back? So ask questions. Okay, so what is the bash script? Anybody who can help us? Let those who know just help us summarize so that those who don't know can.
I'm not sure if I'm right, but it's a list of commands that we can run automatically without manually entering it.
Correct, that's correct. Very correct. And then you said you're already an IT person, right?
I'm not. I'm a social worker. New. I'm just writing like a baby.
Okay, that's beautiful. So how do you recognize a bash script? What do you watch out for to say this is a bash?
The Big Bang Bash.
Yeah, it must start with shebang.
Shebang, yeah.
Shebang. Ash bank. That's all right. So where do you place your bash scripts during the bootstrapping? You know what bootstrapping is? Bootstrapping is the thing you do to let the EC2 server that you are spinning up automatically taking those commands and run them as it is coming up.
User data.
User data, correct. All right. At least with this one, you have out of how many questions in the exam? 75 questions? No,
65.
65, right?
Yeah.
Out of 65, at least you've passed 3 questions. Past 3, because there must be some questions, at least like 30 of them will be simple that everybody would know and be able to pass. Then you have to do tough. The other should be deliberately tough so that it will shake you a little. The simple ones are the ones to have. Okay, so since there are no more questions, no need to waste time. Let's go on.
Excuse me, I have just one question here.
Okay.
I've just been wondering when you changed, to admin user automatically, then where is the security? So if you work with people who
no, in practice, you will not. This is because it's our server. So you don't work for Google, and Google will give you the right, the privilege to change to admin, just like that. No.
Okay.
So how would Google create an account for you so that is the only account you would use? We'll do that under the how to create and manage user accounts. So ideally, nobody should be able to change to root. Good observation for security risk.
And so what's the meaning of VI? The one via index.html.
It means I want to edit this file using the VI editor. I could have used Nano or Vim.
Okay.
Were you in class for Linux?
Yeah, I joined late on the first class, where I'm on.
And yeah, so VI is the text editor, and what I'm editing is units.html. We'll talk about that later. Yes. So we'll do VI. Okay, let's do it. This way it brings us to, so we can edit this text. Can you see it?
Yes.
That's where we use a Nano as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Nano, Vim, VI, all three do exactly the same. So it's up to you what you want to use. For example, I could decide, let me exit here. I could do Nano, then index. Instead of typing, I can just highlight it. All right, all right. So it's the same thing. It still brings me to edit the same text. So they are called text editors. Did I answer that question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay. So what is scalability? Let's quickly do scalability and understand it. Then we'll now do the practicals. All right. Scalability. Explain scalability, elastic, availability. Share screen. Okay. So scalability simply means something like this. So you have this idea, and then, or maybe somebody who is not a tech person, or he has money. He has an idea and he calls you and say, I hear that you are a solutions architect. Please help me set up a server. I've contacted one Indian boy to help me develop this app. So once he finishes the development, we'll put it on this server that you have set up for me. It's just an experiment. I'm not expecting it's going to be a commercial app, but I'm not expecting, it's not launched yet. So just give me a small server so that I don't pay heavily. So you set up a small server. And this is your server. And then the India guy finishes the job. This your server is your infrastructure, right? And then the India guy finishes the application, all right, which is the app. And this is part of development. They're called developers. And you here you are called infrastructure engineer, or what's that? Solutions architect. All right. So he finishes, but it's not a one-time thing. Then you put it in your infrastructure, and your infrastructure is running. And then this guy tells, your boss tells his friends, I have this apple. Once you just put your name there to tell you the name of your grandfather, the name of, he'll just give you your ancestry tree. And then from 1, from 2, from 3, 15 people logged on, and they are just using this server. All of a sudden, this server that was built to handle only 3 requests at a time, is now taking 15 requests at a time. Because the guy who built it, I mean, you, the architect, you were told that it's not for public use, it's just for, anyway, the bottom line is the resources. Remember the resources, the memory, the storage, and the CPU of this server is no longer enough to cater for 15 people because you built it to handle 3 requests simultaneously. So what do you need to do? You need to upgrade the server to something bigger that can now take care of 20 people or 20 customers or 20 connections at the same time. So the idea of increasing the resources, adding more resources so that it is now able to cater for more customers is called scaling. And this kind of scaling, adding more memory, more RAM, and more CPU is called vertical scaling. So this is the concept of vertical scaling. All right. So with vertical scaling, it means that if in two months' time, the business becomes really successful and you now have more people, then you may need to shut it down for a while, shut down the server, and then add more resources. For how long are you going to be doing this? So this is not a recommended way. Vertical scaling is not a good way because every time this happens, it is likely that you want to shut down the existing infrastructure, add more infrastructure, then restart the infrastructure. And for that 1 second or 5 minutes or 10 minutes that your server shuts down to do that, what do you want your customers to do? They should be hanging on. No customer wants to be disappointed. Anyway, this kind of scaling is vertical. It just means increasing the infrastructure resources to accommodate more, in this case, more concurrent sessions. All right. A better way to do this is horizontal scaling. And what does horizontal scaling mean? Horizontal scaling is the idea that you have one server originally allocated. Okay, we can see draw it here. You have one server originally allocated for this purpose. And then you now see that there are more clients. You need to do more work than one server can provide. So instead of adding more resources to this server, you now add additional server. You now add one more server or two more servers. So you are scaling horizontally, not scaling vertically. So every time there is need for more work, just add additional server. It doesn't stop anything at all. Just add additional server, and the work that 3 servers cannot do, by the time you now have 4 servers will be able to do the work. So this idea of adding additional servers instead of increasing the resources of a single server is called horizontal scaling. And this is what is really applicable. This is what is viable. This is what we practice. We practice horizontal scaling in cloud. So this is the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. And most of the time when we talk about scaling without referring to whether it is vertical or horizontal, we're actually talking about the horizontal as the relative. So when we say that your design should be scalable, it means that it should be such that when there is high traffic on your infrastructure, then the infrastructure should be able to expand, should allow for additional servers to be added when traffic is high, or allow for the number of servers to reduce when traffic is low. The ability of this infrastructure, of this design, to automatically expand itself when there is need for it, or the opposite of expand, or decrease in, reduce the number of servers when there is no more need for it. That concept, that ability is called auto scaling. All right, auto scaling. All right, so we're going to do auto scaling so that we'll see how that works. And then that is also very related to high availability. Once high availability simply means that your application, the servers and the applications and the software and the databases running inside them should never go down, not even for 1 second. All right. Once the server is always up and never disappoints customer, we say it has high availability. High availability. And if it is such that any little thing, any power solid goes down, any little thing goes down, then the availability is very low. You don't want low. As much as possible, you want to attain 100%, even though that's not possible. You want to achieve 99.99999%, so that in a whole year, it goes down only for 15 minutes, maximum. All right, anything lower than this, which is what Amazon is promising. They've promised that reliability. Yeah, high availability, high scalability, reliability, they are all very, very closely related. They really don't need to be defining them one by one. Everything points to the fact that the infrastructure and the application is run is highly available and guarantees that 99.999% of the time they are up. That's not really your work. That is the work of Amazon, of AWS, because you are paying them to provide that service and they are promising you. I think that's part of the exam question. that 99.9999% of the time, all of that will be available. If it's not available, it means that they are breaching their own part of the contract, and then it is a truth legal statements in place to identify them, but it's really their own. So this is where the concept of scaling, high availability, high scalability comes in. And then once you understand what those mean, it's not easy to go and implement. Right? Any question?
Quick question.
Yeah.
So which one is more economical? So if you're talking in terms of wasting resources, like if you, like now, if you go the horizontal availability, right? Scaling, the horizontal scaling. If you use the horizontal scaling and you keep adding the server,
yes,
is that per request, or you, like, maybe it's on demand, or it's just something that you put there just in case they add more customers, or they need more resources?
Yes, it's just a feature. It's a practice that is inherent. It's part of the whole architectural design of AWS. It's there for you to just check. You just say, I want it. And then once you say, I want it to be part of it, it's as simple as a click of a button. It means that every time the resources of a server gets to a threshold, maybe like 60% usage, and then it should crash when it gets to 80% usage, then every time it gets to 60%, another server should automatically come up and assist the existing server. You are going to learn how to set it up so that that happens. Yeah. And then if you were saying which one is economical between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, vertical scaling is not practiced. It's useless. It's not practiced. It's just there for theoretical explanation. All the scaling that is possible in cloud is always horizontal.
Gotcha.
Vertical scaling cannot be automated. All right. Yes. We have 9 minutes to take your questions. And if everything we are discussing is making sense so much that you don't even need to ask questions, then you are ready to go and pass the exam. Yeah, we can't learn anything new now. It's just to take questions.
Is it a general question or?
Yeah. I mean, not everything we have done so far, not something that we haven't done. Everything we've done, especially today on AWS. Okay, so which are the 3 most popular cloud service providers? And what is the name of those clouds?
Amazon, AWS,
Microsoft,
Azure, and
Google Cloud.
Google Cloud.
Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft, Azure, Google Cloud, and AWS. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, correct. Okay, so IAM. Did we talk about IAM? Okay, maybe we should. We're not supposed to discuss IAM today. Let's. No, IAM is not. Okay. I'll take a look at IAM. It's very simple. Cloud generally is very simple because cloud providers, especially Amazon, has deliberately made it simple so that you can get more people to come and use the facilities. If they make it hard, then it'll be hard to get customers to come and use. They'll go and go through 1 month of training before they come and use the facility. So they try to make it. They are not that hard. But it's just that they are voluminous, a lot of things.
When we are talking about auto scaling,
okay.
in the situation whereby the customers are no longer using the particular application, and you don't need to add more servers. So can we call that auto scaling also?
Yeah, that should be tied to auto scaling, so that maybe in the morning your blog is a news blog. So in the morning people are really hungry for news, what's going on. So you have a lot of traffic on your site. So it should be such that additional servers can spin up automatically to accommodate that high traffic. But by midday, when everybody has moved on to something else and you have very few people on the block site, then the number of servers serving that traffic should also automatically reduce, because you should know by the volume of traffic that site is receiving. CloudWatch and other cloud AWS facilities would be able to trigger your servers to say, the traffic has reduced to 40%, therefore we don't need you anymore, go down. So the ability to do all of that is what we call that scaling auto. Auto means it's autopilot, it's automatic. So yes, your application is intelligent enough when plugged into auto scaling to know when it needs additional servers and when it does no longer require those services, and then shut the server down. Otherwise, you'll be paying so much to have your servers up when they are not really active. They are not doing any work, just be up. Amazon does not want that. The reason you want to keep going to Amazon AWS as a service provider is because it's intelligent enough to help you save money and shut down servers when you don't need them. And also intelligent enough to know, unless you now specify the maximum, and no matter what the condition. We have heard about delivery packages where restaurants, especially during COVID, made $1 million in one day. So how come where the servers all up to have supported all customers on that app, how come that during high traffic, you were able to get all of the orders to make to fulfill those orders during peak time, and then during low time, during when the demand is not so high, the servers were not up and therefore they were not paying so much? Yeah, it's the intelligence. I don't know if I answered your question.
Okay, sir. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it's elastic. Elastic is the word. It's able to expand and I was looking for the other word, right? It's able to expand and
retract.
Okay, and retract for now. Automatically. That's why I call them elastic. And you are going to learn how to do that tomorrow. I mean, the next one. Yes.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just wondering, if, for instance, there's a big company that feels it needs a very large server. I recall you were showing us the different kind of sizes of servers at the very beginning. So if I pick a very large server because of the people that I'm serving as at that point, and then along the line, I envisage that I'm even going to expand. So if I'm to expand and I'm requesting for auto scaling, so is it that kind of server that will also be added when I scale up, or any different?
You are going to pick the kind of server that will be scaled. You are going to pick it. You are going to define it, that every time you are scaling, this is the type of server to use. You define it.
Okay.
Yes.
What of the situation where, for some reasons, my market crash and it goes below the big server that I have already?
So that's a good question. So why would you want to, if you consider that question you just asked now, do you still want to go ahead and use big server?
No.
Okay, good. Because one of the 5 things that you consider in your design for us to say, wow, this is a good design, or it's not just for you to do the work. Doing the work that it was meant to do is not the measurement as to this is a good design, you are a good engineer, we'll pay you well. One of the 5 factors to consider, in fact, the primary one is cost. So if you use big server, that is costing the company $10 per minute, and then is doing the work fine, no problem. And then somebody comes and say, why are you using this big server? You can use a server that will cost the company only $0.5 per minute. All your accolades and all the big job you have done here will be relegated, and then they will adopt this other design that is cost. So cost is a major consideration. So based on that question, it might be better to use small servers that will cost $0.5, so that in the event that the traffic is low or for some reason you are not in business or something happens, you are still able to maintain low cost operation instead of having the big servers that serve you only during high traffic. We'll put cost into consideration. It's not enough to say I have a high availability, high scalability, high durability, and then my cost is very high. No, you must bring this cost. Something very low. Yeah, good question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, away from that, sir, I'm not in any other group except the one for this class. Is there anyone I need to be?
Depends on what you paid and where you belong.
Oh, okay.
Are you doing Linux with us?
Yeah.
Did you get Linux material?
No, I didn't.
If you need it, then ask your colleagues. I don't know. You know, some of you are coming from a background where you already did Linux somewhere. But we have a Linux class. That's another group.
Oh, okay. Like for me, I'm kind of average in Linux.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's really that group that we have. That is lower than this.
So.
Every other group will be higher than this. You can only be part of that group after this one.
After this, all right. So.
So if you feel that your Linux is good, everything we are talking about Linux, you understand it. And for some of you, that's true. Fine. But if you feel, this Linux, I think I need to do a recap, then you can join our Linux.
Yeah, I'm still part of the Linux class though, but
oh, okay, yeah.
It's serving as a revision for me. The opportunity as well to thank you so much for what you are doing, sir, because what you are dishing out cannot be compared to what you take for this course. I can tell you that I have seen a lot, and I have, because before I made my decision to join your class, I could remember, I don't know, maybe you remember like 2020 or early 21.
How will I remember? Even last week, I can't remember anymore because so many inquiries.
I messaged you on Instagram. By then, I was weighing up too many options.
Okay.
Then, now being in your class, I see like, oh my goodness, what you should have charged like $500 for this, and that. You just like package everything. Thank you so much, sir, for imparting us with your knowledge.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Was it you that said you had your fingers burnt and then?
Oh, no.
Okay. There's another person who said, I regret not coming to your class. Now I'm coming back. I said, what's the story? He said, well, I've learned the hard way. Don't worry about it. I said, okay. So you're welcome to class. Thank God. Anyway, so that's it for now, guys. So I'll send the manual and then I'll make the video available as well so that you can practice before the next class. So the video link will be shared in the group. We're all part of the group.
Thank you, sir.
AWS.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome, guys. Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir.
So this is 3 hours. It's always 3 hours with these BB courses, but with the Linux class, it's just 2 hours.
Okay.
So there be a Linux class tomorrow?
Yes, Linux class is always Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay, sir.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right.
Bye now.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.